I was in the Caribbean in a bar in Jamaica waiting for my brother, and the barman was saying there's a concept in whiskey called the angel share. So as whiskey ages, some of it evaporates like all spirits do, and it's said to go off to the angels. But then he said in the Caribbean they didn't believe that rubbish, and they thought these crazed spirits called Duppies come along, steal the best of the rum, and then go and have a massive party. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to interrupt you. Like, what do they call that rum? It's called the Duppy Share.
Was there a moment that you seriously questioned whether this would work or not?
No. Starting companies is hard work, and there are phenomenally low lows, phenomenally high highs. There's never been a moment where I've felt there's something wrong here. Consistency is something that I'll put my hand up and say I'm not very good at, because consistency, I think, in brand is years. Doing the same thing, knowing it's the right thing, and keeping the main thing. So these kegs we had in storage, we went to the storage, we thought the roof of the storage had fallen down, and we go in and I pick up one of the kegs and it explodes to the extent that the bomb squad come, and they kind of got these like hard plastic bits on the top, and it goes like this, and my wrist breaks.
Oh, what would you do differently if you had to start all over again? Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a shout out to a special sponsor, Sam Lawrence Recruitment. We all know that finding the right people or the right job can feel really overwhelming, and that's exactly where Sam comes in. He really just gets it. It's not just about ticking boxes, it's about connecting the right people with the right opportunities. He takes the time to understand you and exactly what you're looking for, whether you're building a team or taking that next career leap. So definitely get in touch. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. Charlie is a 3-time founding member of Startup Brands, taking each from 0 to 1 million within 18 months. Across different categories, channels and countries, including launching operations in the US and Australia. He is now the founder of Plug-in Brands, an award-winning outsourced FMCG sales agency working with the fast-growth food and drink brands, and Dive-In Agency, a TikTok shop agency helping brands turn social commerce into real revenue. With a background in go-to-market strategy, brand development and distribution through retail and wholesale channels, there isn't anyone better placed to help you supercharge your brand. Charlie and the Plug-in Brands team work with a host of brands, including Moju, Muller, Clipper Tea, Who Gives a Crap, and Lovecorn. So if you're in need of an extra pair of hands to really step on your growth this year, Charlie is the guy you need to be in touch with. Now, if you're running a product business and your inventory lives across spreadsheets, emails, and about 6 different systems, this one's definitely for you. Unleashed is an inventory management platform built for manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers, giving you one source of truth across your stock, orders, and operations. It automates the repetitive stuff too, things like purchase orders, stock updates, low stock alerts, so that your team can focus on growing the business, not firefighting. They're already trusted by brands like Candy Kittens, Perfect Head, Borough Broth, and Refi, and they integrate with tools you're already probably using, including Shopify, QuickBooks, and Salesforce. So if you're scaling a product business and want to get your operations under control, head over and start a free 14-day trial. And as a Getting to Grow listener, you'll get 1 month free using the code GTGPOD. Getting to Grow is also brought to you by the Coconut Collab. And full disclosure, as I'm sure most of you are aware, I work there. So I know how much love goes into everything that we make. We're all about creating delicious, dairy-free, plant-based treats that do not compromise on taste. From our creamy yogurts to our indulgent desserts, everything's made with coconuts and a whole lot of care. If you're looking for something naturally good but seriously tasty, and my favourite is just our natural coconut yogurt, I have it most mornings with granola and lots of honey. Trust me, you're going to absolutely love it. Welcome to another episode of Getting to Grow. On this week's episode, we have George Frost, the founder of the Duppy Share, and I am really excited to get into this because it was only last week that I was chatting to Alistair from Pentai, and he said you must speak
Another
to
Frost.
Well, I thought you were brothers, and then he said FYI we're not, and I was like, right, I didn't clock that. I definitely thought you were, because obviously same surname. It's actually a very common surname, but I love Alistair. I remember seeing Alistair when he had a drinks consultancy in Hagen on the King's Road in Chelsea. And that was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. But no, he's smashing it. He's doing great. He is. Well, that episode will be coming out as well.
Where do I look? Do I look?
Look wherever you fancy, look at me, look over there, wherever. Like, just kind of move about. Yeah. So, tell me about Duppy Share. Feels like a brand with a lot of soul, a lot like not just liquid here, like there's a lot of story behind this. Before we get into it, where did the idea like really start for you, and what were you doing before?
So I was working at a company called Quintessentially, which is sort of luxury, well, it's a luxury lifestyle group. And essentially, long story short, one of our investors, very old family friend called Ben Goldsmith, went to one of our investors called Django Davidson, who was our first investor at Duppy, went to Ben and said, we should do a craft beer brand. And Ben said, screw that, let's do a rum and get George to found it. So they kind of in a roundabout way came to me with the idea, which now, having lived, breathed, sweated, bled Duppy for 11 years, I can't imagine a life without it. But then to kind of someone to say, let's do a rum brand, it was pretty random. But very quickly, I remember, I think I was in a bar or something, and I've fortunately went to the Caribbean when I was very, very young. And I'd say 9 of the 10 happiest family memories, or memories in general, are from the Caribbean. And I remember looking at the bar, and for me, the Caribbean, and most people I've ever spoken to about the Caribbean is about fun, young, full of energy, exciting, warm in every way, and the people more than anything else. And then you look at rum, which is the Caribbean's main export, really, and 86% of the world's rum comes from the Caribbean. And it was, and I'd say still is, kind of old, dusty, and an incredible guy called Andy Fennell, who sits on our board, was the CMO of Diageo for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he's incredible. And he came up with the line that we believe that bats belong in caves and pirates in storybooks, which is very much about Diageo's Captain Morgan and Bacardi. But in essence, it's not about what other brands aren't. There just wasn't that kind of like fun, young, exciting rum brand. So naturally, my mind got whirring and kind of thinking maybe this could be a really great thing to do. And then I was in the Caribbean in a bar in Jamaica waiting for my brother. And there was a couple at the other end of the bar talking to the barman, and the barman was saying there's a concept in whiskey called the angel share. So he was saying that as whiskey ages, some of it evaporates like all spirits do, and it's said to go off to the angels. But then he said in the Caribbean, they didn't believe that rubbish, and they thought these crazed spirits called Duppies come along, steal the best of the rum, and then go and have a massive party. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to interrupt you, like, hi, but what do they call that rum? And he was like, oh, that's weird, no one's ever asked me that. It's called the Duppy Share. And so immediately I was just, like, everything just, if I'd left that bar and thought, what should I call this rum brand, and not called it that, I would have been a moron. So that was it. From that moment on, I was always going to launch a rum brand. It was always going to be called the Duppy Share. And thankfully, listening to a fair few of your podcasts, the naming story and is always an integral part. My view is that it's not my place to say should or whatever, but I think the great brands, have to come through directly the founder. I think agencies are phenomenal and come up with some amazing things, but we went to our design agency, which is one of our biggest learnings, the first design agency, and the brief was, this is what the rum is, this is what rum means to us, this is what the name is, can you bring that to life? And I think if you go to a design agency just with like, I want to launch a mint brand, but that's it, I don't know, I feel like the product or the brand may not be as all singing and all dancing as it can be.
Yeah, I think
I can't even remember what the question was.
No, it was exactly that, how it came to life. Yeah. I think that's really important, and you're right, a lot of who I speak and a lot of founders I've had on the podcast are all about the kind of the name and why, and I always ask, why did you call it that? Because it's such a big part of then like what becomes the brand. And it's again, like as you said, it was a lot of like you're trying to tell like a big cultural story here as well. And how was that once you'd had the visualization for the brand? How did that then come to life straight away with trying to sell it?
Yeah. Well, it's a very good question, and it's kind of, so I think I find it staggering how many brand names there are out there, and as I'm sure you do, but I see a lot of decks of brands that have started or about to start or looking for investment, and they'll have their name on the first deck, and there won't even be a kind of slide on why it's called that or what it's about. And I'm not saying that they should, but for us, with that story behind it, I'm always amazed about how many people come up to our stand when we're at a trade show or whatever and say, "Oh, I love Duppy Share." And then you ask them whether they know why it's called that, and they don't even think twice. They're like, "Oh no, no idea." And so if that's someone who already loves our brand, don't know the name, it's kind of, I always equate it to Monkey Shoulder, the whiskey.
Yeah.
So Monkey Shoulder is called Monkey Shoulder because supposedly back in the day when people were carrying around the barrels in the distillery or in the warehouses, they were really heavy, and they used to literally get a monkey shoulder from carrying them.
Right.
And so that's all the monkey iteration. But I never knew that. And so to answer your question about kind of landing it, if we land the Duppy Share story, whether that's to a buyer, a consumer, a bartender, whoever, they love the brand and they'll stock the brand, and it's a kind of win-win, I suppose. But it's how to land that. And as you know, you don't have time on Instagram, you don't have time. And we've tried a number of times with expensive solutions via creative agencies of landing the story as quickly as possible. But in short, I think it's not our job as product sellers, for the most basic term, to educate or to try and get the brand across. For us, it's just about doing fun things and trying to engage with people kind of organically, naturally, and kind of keeping the product front and center, I suppose. And hopefully all that other stuff will come. But yeah, it's both the hardest thing to do, but the thing which will get the biggest reward in terms of, I think, getting that kind of brand love.
Yeah. It's interesting how you say, like, it's not your job to educate. But from my perspective, and especially at Coconut Collab, like, we really see it as our job to educate.
Yeah.
To, like, really tell the story of, like, the category as well, and, like, why we're doing what we're doing, and why should you switch out your yogurt from a dairy to a plant-based. So, like, we do see it as a big part of what we're doing is the kind of education pieces to, like, plant-based yogurt. Like, it's hard because we do coconut yogurt.
Yeah.
And
delicious coconut
yogurt. And some people have our yogurt because they just love coconut. And the fact that we're plant-based it was never really our intention. Like, Jim just loved coconuts and realised they're thick and creamy and actually they make a really good base for yogurt. He never set out for it to be a vegan company. It's just that there's no cows in making a coconut yogurt. So, and we try and educate people on that. It's not a switch. We're not saying don't have dairy in your tea. We're saying, actually, have you tried coconut yogurt? Like, it's a completely different thing. Like, it's a different category. That's how we position it. So we do really feel like it's our job to educate that.
And that is, I suppose that is education in a product sense, incredibly important. And I suppose our equivalent, the thing that, going back 11 years now to when we hadn't launched yet, the thing that blew people away is that, and I suppose this is saying why the education piece isn't that important. And the punchline here is that there's a lot of rum, is that the difference between your point there about coconut yogurt not existing and having to educate the consumer is when we launched, rum sales globally were 3.5 times bigger than gin. So the rum category, and this is another thing that didn't lead to me launching Duppy, but was a kind of catalyst there, is that the volume to get, the rum volume globally was enormous. And yet, and I still should get around to doing this, working out a clever formula for this, but if you were to look at the global gin volume or the UK gin volume and then let's say divide it by the number of new gin brands there were, and then you did the same for rum volume divided by the number of new rum brands there are, the number for gin would be so much lower than the number for rum, because there were just, and I don't know why, I still don't know why, and I suppose I'm thankful that there isn't, but there are just not that proliferation of new rum brands, never has been, that there was with gin and even tequila. And I know you've had some wonderful tequila founders on this podcast. And yeah, so our battle, so Alan Lafley, the Procter & Gamble CEO, 12 years, who wrote a very good book, that I forget the name of, but he said business is simple, where to play, how to win. And our where to play was relatively straightforward, rum, and our how to win, not a day goes past where I have been shown no, not a day goes by when it hasn't been shown that Duppy is the way to win. And I think we were we're so lucky to be in that bar at that time to hear this term, the Duppy Share. But within, again, going to your point about the spreading that cultural relevance of the brand, that where to play, as I said, in terms of rum, the how to win of Duppy and Duppy Share, even had share in the title, was sharing in terms of Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And sharing is just as important to us, and I'm not just saying that, just as important to us as the Duppy side, the mischievous, fun, excitement. Share runs like a stick of rock through most of what we do in terms of doing the right thing and kind of sharing the love and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that kind of combination of the where to play, how to win within rum really meant that we never had to do that education piece. We never had to go into a bar and say you should be selling rum cocktails, because it was almost like the 180 of that. I remember being in the Beaver Lodge, which was one of Charlie Gilks's. Do you ever go there? Clubs?
No.
K Club? Anyway. And I was at the bar, and there were two girls there. And I think I was saying that they asked what I did, and I said I was going to launch a rum brand. They're like, we don't drink rum. And I genuinely asked them what their three favourite cocktails were. And it was mojito, daiquiri, and a dark and stormy, which all have rum in it. And so it's kind of this very weird, joyous position, I suppose, of we don't need to convince people to drink rum because people are drinking it anyway. So then
the category was already there as such.
And then also I think that within it also was like, I remember like some of my first sales visits, I realised that if I went in and I said, I've got a new spirit to talk to you about, or like, is the buyer here? They should carry on washing their dishes thinking it'd be another gin. And I was like, it's a new rum. And they'd be like, a new rum? Like, it was genuinely as kind of rare as that at the beginning. There are now loads of great new rum brands hitting the market, and lots who I have a huge amount of admiration and love for. Still nowhere near the ranks of the number of new gin brands. But yeah, back then it wasn't an education piece. It was more a kind of like alerting them that there was a new brand.
Yeah, it's funny how like gin had its surgence, and then, you know, you've had tequila. Rum hasn't had it in the same way that those two have. And yeah, tequila's obviously been on a ridiculously high, like for the last probably like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, rum hasn't had that same like peak yet. I think it will, because I think everything's cyclical, right? Like it will come around, but it just it's funny how you're right. It hasn't been as sexy as the others.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about volume, as in the volume of everyone talking about something, and I think no and low is at this stage now, and then the volume of the sales, the actual kind of proof in the pudding, I suppose. And I think now the amount of column inches and podcasts and everywhere you look and hear, you'd think that alcohol was dead in terms of the amount of no and low stuff. And yet in the latest IWSR data, I think less than 0.5% is still no and low. So I think rum is a kind of example of that, in terms of a sort of beneficiary of that, in terms of the volume for rum is still fantastic. There are still groups in the UK like Turtle Bay restaurants who are doing an inordinate amount of rum. You're totally right in terms of the gin craze, and totally right in terms of the tequila craze. And I can't really put my finger on why. I think the US and the UK are very interesting in how they relate to one another in spirits. Like gin in the US and tequila in the UK was basically interchangeable in that over in the US, gin was tiny. In the UK, tequila was tiny. And now it's kind of gone vice versa, and tequila's massive here, and it's obviously locationally a lot nearer Mexico, the US, and it's culturally, I think, more popular there. But yeah, tequila definitely stole a march on rum in that regard, in the kind of, again, if there was some formula for it in terms of the column inches and kind of mentions and all that kind of stuff online, it definitely did spike massively.
Yeah, you're right. And when you think about the Duppy Share, when you started the business, what did success look like to you?
It was 5 years was definitely in my head at some point. I'll be done in 5 years,
right?
Which wasn't true. But I don't know. I think why does anyone launch a company? I think success was, you mentioned before we started about your love of sales. I've always loved sales. I've always loved that kind of interaction and kind of getting to the end of the meeting, and a successful meeting, I suppose. And what success looked like to me was building a brand. I've always been obsessed by brand, I suppose. I remember reading a book called Biology, B-U-Y-ology, and like why we do the things we do as humans. And I remember it gave an example of like, if you put one brand of shampoo, one bottle fascia, it'll sell X, and if you put two, it'll literally sell 2X. Like, we are that kind of predictable as consumers. So I've always been fascinated by that. And I also think, like, I've always loved the creative element of brand building. So success to me would be to mimic or to mimic what Sam Galsworthy did at Sipsmith. Build a brand, get people to buy into it, and sell the brand. Of course, selling the brand is important. It's that kind of moment, the distillation, I suppose, for want of a better term, or something coming to fruition. Never been about getting rich. It's never been about the kind of success of it. But I suppose it's getting to the end of the journey, I suppose, is the most interesting, exciting part. And
what is that for you? What is the end of the journey?
I think there are always going to be milestones in any. For us, 100,000 9-litre cases would be an amazing milestone to get to. We're currently at about 35,000. I think it's probably the next step. I think the cleanest is obviously probably an acquiral by a bigger company. But it sounds cheesy, but I really can sense you're going to empathise with this from what we were chatting about. Is genuinely, I believe, you show me a bar that doesn't have Duppy in it and I'll show you one that should, because I really feel that, to that point that we said at the beginning, the rum category, it needs to be fun, it needs to be relevant, it needs to be exciting. And so many rum categories in bars or supermarkets, to a lesser degree, don't have that.
Yeah, make rum sexy again.
Make rum sexy, yeah. Does that make a nice little anagram though?
Could do.
Yeah. Mrs. A.
Mrs. A.
There you go.
Yeah, and A is like, if, you know, have you seen that film? Was it A? It's with Emma Stone, can't remember, something A. And she's like the naughty girl at school. So like, yeah, it works.
No.
It's like
Mrs. A, yeah. Make rum sexy again, yeah. But I think, you know what, without sounding too cheesy, the thing that I kind of am most thankful for in this journey, my dad used to say, like, he used to hate when people say never work with friends. He was like, some of the best things I've ever done most of the best things I've ever done are with my best friends. And through a random number of coincidences happening, my business partner for the past 6 years has been a very old family friend of mine called Jack, and it's been just the most amazingly fun, fulfilling, stressful, highs and lows like you wouldn't imagine journey. And it doesn't need this to happen, but what a wonderful like bookend it would be on an amazing kind of journey to have something like an acquirer at the end of it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if I'm sitting here with you in 30 years' time and still have Jack as my business partner. His wife may not still like me as much. I hope she likes me now. But you know, it would be an amazing kind of moment, I suppose. But who knows what that looks like? Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I think a lot of the businesses I have on the pod and the founders I speak to, I'm always like, is end goal sell? And some, it's very 50-50. It's very like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I want 5 years and then I'm out. And others are like, no, I want my kids' kids and my grandkids. Like, I want this to be like the next Guinness. Like, I want to build a like complete legacy. So it's interesting to hear.
Yeah, Kaya, my daughter's 2.5. She shows, she knows what Duppy Share is. She can say Duppy Share. Whether I could hand over the keys yet, I don't know.
Maybe not yet. She'd be a very drunk 2-year-old because she wouldn't know not to drink it.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah.
She'd be like, woohoo.
Yeah. Drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly. I always should talk about that, to be honest, when I'm doing an alcohol podcast.
No, you shouldn't. You know what?
No, okay, we won't.
No.
Moving on.
Yeah. Drink however you want to drink.
Drink how you want to drink. Was there a moment that you seriously questioned whether this would work or not?
So, no, incredibly. And I'm not saying, like, what I wanted to say this at the beginning. This is not going to be one of those AI-generated arc of, I started the company at this, it got really bad, and now it's wonderful. This is going to be honest. And genuinely, I think it's very important that people realise that starting companies is hard work, and there are phenomenally low lows, phenomenally high highs. But in answer to your question, there's never been a moment where I've felt there's something wrong here, or something about this, the macro thing is wrong. And not to belittle it, but going back to that Alan Lafley thing, I think if the answers to those things, where to play, how to win, if those things are right, then it's worth it all. And I'm not, as I said at the beginning, it's been 10, 11 years now of duppying, and it's very far from being acquired, or, well, who knows. But it's certainly not a home run. And it takes a lover of a pun to avoid and resist saying home run there. But yeah, in terms of ever having that moment of looking in the mirror and thinking, this isn't going to work, I've never had that.
Yeah, I actually think if you do have that, it probably won't. Because if you can get to that place, like, mentally, where you almost like start to not believe it, it's quite hard to come back from that.
Have you seen Marty Supreme? The film?
No, I haven't. I've seen snippets, so that's why I hesitated. But no, I can't say I've seen the whole thing.
I think it's really interesting because in that, I was talking to my wife about this. In that, I think there are those people who are just wonderfully, incredibly driven, right? And they will make things work, and it's their drive and tenacity that make that. But there are also people who are kind of deluded, let's say.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I'd like comment here or whatever you say in podcast, but I'd like to know what people think about Marty Supreme, because I think in that he is a bit deluded, but he's the cat that gets the cream at the end. I won't give it away. He doesn't actually get the cream you think he'll get, but he gets a richer type of cream.
Okay.
And yeah, I think being a founder is very similar to that, because there is no formula to it, and there is no right way of doing it, as you will have known with your brand. It's a lot of it is gut, a lot of it is tenacity, a lot of it is as you've said a lot in other podcasts of yours I've listened to, coincidence and
just also fate. Consistency, like not giving up, like banging on that door and constantly putting out the consistency of your brand and what you're trying to achieve. It's just like, finding your message and hound. Like that is ultimately as well, like such a big part of it. And I think the minute you stop being consistent and, being a bit bitty with your messaging and your brand, especially early on, like you confuse the customer and they're out.
I think you've nailed two things there. Consistency and banging on that door, which I know you said equating to the same thing, but consistency is something that I'll put my hand up and say I'm not very good at, because consistency, I think, in brand is years. It's not months, it's not weeks, it's years of doing the same thing, knowing it's the right thing, and keeping the main thing, which is Richard Reed's main thing. He says, keep the main thing. And if you're a brand looking for growth and looking for new and fun and different, which is definitely what I look at via Duppy, I want to change sooner, quicker than that. So consistency is incredibly important in terms of not straying from what you think. And we've gone through things, we've done cocktails on tap, and then we tried something else. And actually now we're really, really laser focused on something.
So important.
But banging the door down, I think if there is a skill in life, I think I might be good at that. And it's just never giving up. But again,
I hate a no.
Yeah. Like, and how do you take a no?
I've got better. Like initially I was like, I took it so personally. I was like, oh my gosh, it's against me. But it's not. I'm not right for them, and therefore right.
Or timing.
Timing's a huge part of half the stuff we do. Timing is massive, like especially when it comes to like range reviews, right? Like timing can be massive.
Always miss range reviews.
Always miss range reviews. But in my world, in the on-trade, there aren't as many, like, you know, it's not as red tapey as retail. So like there are things you can kind of like skirt around. And ultimately, like, and everyone listening always says to me, you always say the same thing. And I'm like, I know, because it hasn't failed me. People buy people. Your brand has to stand out on your quality, and it has to taste good, right? Like, taste is the first thing people are ever going to remember about a brand. Like, whether it's £400 or like 29p, if it tastes crap, it doesn't matter. No one's buying it ever again. Like, you ruined the like initial customer experience. But people don't want to do business with people they don't like. So people are buying you as well. And I think that's where I try and bring like my flair to coconut. And this is just what I do personally, but I try and make, this sounds really like, when you say it out loud, it sounds a bit funny, but I try and make myself like a little bit irreplaceable.
Okay.
In the sense of like, in a meeting, I'll do something that like nobody could copy, or like I'll do something very much like Zoe Fox.
Yeah, so that it's easy with a name like Fox.
It's easy with a name like Fox, right? But also, everybody's replaceable. Of course they are. I don't like, you know, I could move on tomorrow and someone could fill my shoes at Coconut, but it's more like, what, they can't do something that I've maybe done that I won't like tell people about. Or, I don't know, there's something in the meeting that I'll walk away that nobody else can give them. Yeah.
And that is the, I'm trying to think of that's the personal aspect of it that I hope will never be replaced by AI or anything like that. I don't think it will. I think, I'm just trying to think, I think, so often, bear with me on this, often with the big brands, right? The big, in Diageo, obviously you've got Procter & Gamble and the likes in your world, but in our world, the Diageos, the Bacardis, things that they're remarkable at is quality of product at a price, and so brand recognition, ability to get a low price, and ability to support beyond that. Now, often in the past, that is where it ends. Like, we can't beat that. And what I actually think with small brands and small, fast-moving brands is you don't think about what the other things that they have that small brands don't have. Debt mountains like you wouldn't believe. Personnel, like, you know, HR teams, like enormous. So when the market changes, they're actually quite slow. So where, to your point, where Duppy and the like can win is by acting really fast. Yeah, you're incredibly, can be reactive. And kind of, to your point, and that everything in life is on a spectrum, obviously. You can be way too reactive or not reactive enough. And it's about finding the happy medium. And we've had examples where we've reacted too quickly to opportunities we thought that were there, which Cocktails on Tap being one of them. But then we've had some which are the opposite of that, like Duppy House, which is our kind of like house range that we launched about 9 months ago for the on-trade, which really has been our tenacity, our supplier network, our branding capabilities that's been able to react to an opportunity and benefit from it. Yeah. And I think it's that thing where if you're in a meeting and it comes back, it's a no, or your product's too expensive, it's, of course, you can't take every no as I can still win this. I can still win this. Of course. And but there are the ones that actually you can think, well, this is emblematic maybe of a bigger opportunity.
And that's when your gut can help as well, in the sense of like, I know when a no means a no and I can walk away from it. And also, like, looking back, it might be that, like, commercially it's probably not the best shot long run, or like our brand actually isn't really right for that end customer. Like, would it even sell once it's in the door? Like, there's so many things that can also like turn you away. But I certainly know where I do play and where I should play. Yeah. And that's where I'll bang down that door, because I'm like, I'm not pushing water uphill here. Well, I might be to get the no initially, but it will be a waterfall once you let me open the door. But, you know, it's that kind of like, Yeah, and
it's knowing where those are.
Yeah.
And having the honesty and truth in yourself of knowing, like, actually, you know what?
And that comes with experience and time, right? Like, when I joined in the food world, I was just a complete, like, Duracell bunny. I mean, I still am. I have, like, an enormous amount of energy. But I was very much like, you know... what's that, splattergun? Yeah, splattergun approach, like no strategy, woohoo, let's just go here and here, wasting time, you know, no proper like energy funnels of like where I need to spend my time.
And I liked what Luke said on one of your podcasts, of where he was like, he'd get the yes and he'd move on to the next one, yes, and then he'd look back and it's like, well, none of them have actually ordered. You know, it's like,
it's classic.
I think it's kind of that, it's the hot and the cold, isn't it? And the fire and the ice, in terms of the perfect kind of business partnership.
And looking back, what did you underestimate about starting a spirits brand?
Oh, good question. I think probably that a bottle of spirits takes quite a long time to drink. I mean, at times, definitely not the case. But, you know, it's 28 shots in a bottle, and we behave as FMCG. I think the F sometimes maybe an S, but yeah, it's kind of like, it's one thing getting the bottle on the shelf, it's another getting it off, I suppose.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Getting the listings, like, not even the battle, really. Yeah. Like, now it's like, you've got to get people to buy it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, obviously, it has to work.
Now the work starts.
Yeah. And now the work starts, and the work you can't necessarily... It's like, almost like it's there now. It's got to do its own thing.
Yeah.
But we found that year on year on year, sometimes to miraculous effect, that actually it kind of really is... pulling off the shelf to the degree that the rate of sale is increasing, that the underlying kind of health factors are looking really good.
And what early decisions help the brand stand out on shelf and behind the bar? Because it's really cool. It's giving fun. It's giving hot. It's giving sunshine.
Yeah.
Like, so it gives all that.
There's two people in the Duppy ecosystem, environment, planet, universe almost, who I will always listen to what they say. You know, you will have asked advice off hundreds of people, thousands of people maybe. Sometime on a Wednesday it's this, and on a Thursday it becomes something different. And these two people, I would, whatever they, maybe they shouldn't know this, but whatever they say, I'll do. And one is Andy, who I mentioned earlier, and the other one is a guy called Elwyn Gladstone. Have you heard of Elwyn Gladstone?
No.
So he's an absolute genius. He launched, or helped launch, Hendrix for William Grant Sons. Kraken was his, and I love the singleness of thinking. So Kraken, I haven't actually checked this with him, but I was told Kraken, the rum, is all about kill the captain, like kill Captain Morgan.
Okay.
But when a brand has that singularity of focus, kill the captain, like wherever Captain Morgan is, let's do it. And anyway, he's just a genius. I was lucky enough to meet him years and years and years ago, and he said, make sure your bottle is different in 5 ways. And, you know, the name being one of them, and things like that. So I always told our team to think Elwinistically. I haven't actually told him that adjective I made up. But he's now got, he created and sold Malfi Gin. Have you seen Malfi Gin?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, in sort of 4 years. So he was the one who said, make your bottle different in 5 ways. And I think our original bottle was off the shelf, Apotheca bottle, 70cl Kefler glass. It's now a bespoke bottle. But I think the number one thing, so my biggest lesson learned was we went down with our first money that we raised. We spent 17,000, which was probably 93% of the cash that we had at that moment, via a design agency it was me and Django at this moment. We went down a design route, and it was like this. It was getting better each meeting, but it was never right. And then I luckily sort of pulled the cord on that one, and then met my business partner at the time, Jess Swinfen, who we mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, who was at Innocent. She took us to B&B, the design agency, and we said the same pitch, but they just totally got it and created what to this day I think is, well, no, Sean and his team categorically created to this day our biggest benefit, which was the overall look and feel. So I think that's a benefit, and there are loads of clever things about the label that we won't go into now, but, you know, the fact that the name's at the bottom, the fact that the name, it means what it does, the colours, it's a triptych of the sort of all-day drinking of daytime, like evening, nighttime.
Yeah.
That it was based on this vintage classic poster that someone found.
I really like. I was going to say it gives poster.
Yeah, and it's, you know, and my old man used to say never. That was his sort of
Never
motto
waste a
down
second.
there. Yeah, and yeah, so kind of I think that's been our. And to your point, I couldn't agree with you more about the liquid. Everything is about the liquid. I actually think it's more straightforward to say it's liquid first, but I actually think you wouldn't taste the liquid unless it looks great.
Well, yeah,
so
obviously,
it's all
yeah.
kind of.
You can't.
It's got to be all of it, basically.
Yeah. Then once it's off the shelf, then it's about the liquid, because ultimately,
Yeah.
like, it has to be about the bottle for them to even put it in their basket.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's definitely been the kind of biggest unlocker, is the look and feel of it, and I think the nature of rum, and it really is a rum family. Like, if you spent 2 minutes at a rum trade show as opposed to anything else, you'd realise. But there's this real great vibe that we are more than just independent rum brands. So there's the ability to get, we've sourced the absolute best rum globally in the world to go into our rums. I don't think that's possible in other industries. I think other industries would be way more kind of like, no, this is our whiskey, you're not allowed to use this liquid. But, you know, this rum is a blend of a 5-year-old rum from Foursquare Distillery in Barbados, 3-year-old from Jamaica, Worthy Park Distillery in Jamaica, and it's that blend and it's that kind of community vibe, and that makes it all kind of work. So we're able to have an amazing liquid and an amazing product. It certainly wasn't straightforward. The kind of tasting process took about 9 months, but yeah, we're able to get the absolute best in the business, but at a price that's kind of affordable, which is, I think, pretty rare, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really rare, especially because, you know, you're buying. What does this RRP at?
This is, good question, 26 quid down to 26 quid.
Yeah,
Waitrose, yeah.
That's incredibly reasonable for like a rum.
Yeah,
for a bottle of rum.
no, it is,
sure.
and the liquid is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I hope that kind of, going back to one of your earlier questions, I really believe that brands matter, and that when you buy a brand you love, you get so much more reward out of it. I don't know the brands that you love, but, you know, whether it's fashion or sport or drink, I really believe that you do literally buy into the brand that you're
100%.
buying. And I think it's kind of really, really important and great to be able to kind of create those types of brands.
It's also half the fun. Like, the reason consumers buy things is because they like the product, but they love the brand and what it stands for. They're buying into the lifestyle. It's why there's adverts, right? It's why like they sell fragrance on telly. You can't smell it through the telly, but they're advertising it. Not yet, but it's such a big part of like why we buy things. So yeah, it's so important. And building a brand like this is never a solo journey.
No.
Who were the first people outside of family that truly believed in Duppy Share?
Good question. I think some of our first investors were the people who and I think this is probably always the case, the people who believed in me and in what I was doing, and the people that I will always be forever indebted to. So those first investors, I remember meeting one of our investors, Kevin, in the Groucho Club, which is now I think shut down. But,
has it?
Yeah, but he, back then it was literally a pipe dream, and to kind of back the dream as much as those people did, it was yeah, it's amazing. And I think those are the kind of people that you think about when things aren't going well as when they are, because you both want to do anything to make that punt worth it for them, but it also just reassures you that people have your backing and they believe in what you're doing. And if they believed in you 10 years ago or 5 years ago when you were a tenth of the size that you are now, just to keep going. And yeah, I mean, it's people like that, our kind of first round investors, I think, are the ones who kind of really back the dream.
And have you told them all how much like their support has meant to them? Have you ever sat them down and gone?
Yeah, I think probably after having a fair number of getting high on our own supply, maybe. But no, I think the person I think I probably owe the most to, who I don't need to name who it is, but I was at Newcastle University, and I think I was hardly going to be the kind of, I don't know, people weren't queuing up to hire me, and he hired me quintessentially, and just since then just has always kind of backed me and kind of had my back proactively as well as passively. And I think that's really important, like checking in if I'm okay, and those are the things that kind of are so important. And he's just been phenomenally supportive throughout. When things are going great, he's the first person to say well done, and when things aren't going great, he's the first person to say how can I help. And yeah, and I think it's through business and life and all those things that those relationships really kind of come out of the woodwork. So that another reason why to strive on for the next sort of win, I suppose. Yeah.
And how important has surrounding yourself with the right people been to surviving like the tougher moments? Yeah,
it's like, I think any business, what unites literally every single person is that they're a kind of human being on your podcast, or the highs and lows. And I think surrounding yourself with better people than you, for me, is luckily very easy. But and it's something that I bet you've had loads of single founders and duo founders, whether they're both on or not. But I can't imagine this journey without having Jack, my business partner, by my side, because whether it's like anything in life, whether it's sharing the highs or sharing the lows, is always better when there's someone else. And I think, it's everything. And I think as long as we sort of try to treat people the right way and do the right thing, I think then it's always better to share these experiences. And the people, it's everything.
Absolutely. I mean, like, we're like pack animals, aren't we, as humans? Like, it's really rare to be like a lone wolf and just be like roaming the world on your own. It would be quite bizarre and not very fun.
No, and I think everything we stand for is that. I mean, we, as I mentioned earlier, Share is in our name. We are very much a part of hospitality. Hospitality is all about hanging out with each other. Yeah. Working from home is all well and good, but we love the office. We love doing things together. We love being the excuse to bring people together. I think that is life. Connection is life. They say the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it is connection. And I love that. Bringing people together at any cost is like everything that we do.
Yeah, and that's where I think like AI won't take over, because you can't replace human connection, right?
No, you can't.
God knows what robots might do, but like
you can't hug AI.
I don't know. There's been iRobot, hasn't there? That he called it years ago. What do we know?
Yeah, shit. Good film, that.
Great film, but that freaks me out. Like, I'm not having one of them in my gaff.
Yeah,
that's true. Staying in the wet factor or whatever, not coming near my household. And speaking about like money, financials, how obviously you mentioned about investors. Did you straight away go for investment, or was it self-funded initially?
It was very, I mean, Django and I put in the first amount of money, but it was basically from the off. We did kind of friends and family, and then friends and family asterisks, so kind of like friends of more relevant friends of family. Then we did a couple sort of more traditional rounds, and then we've just finished a crowdfund. Well, probably about 6 months ago, we finished a crowdfund where we raised about 500,000 on Crowdcube, who are fantastic. And so it's kind of been a bit of everything. We haven't ever had sort of venture capital or private equity. Not to say that we wouldn't, but no, we're very fortunate to have had some very supportive people to kind of back us along the way.
And for founders listening, what should they understand about money in alcohol brands? I think it's the same probably in every industry, but there are kind of stars and that people look at, like Sipsmith, which exited very favourably, like Malfi, that exited very favourably. And I think that the big companies will pay big multiples for great brands, but I think to not let those sort of Casamigos, George Clooney's brand, or other ones persuade you that will be the exit. I think the brand has to stand, and company and financials has to stand on its own 2 feet before that can happen. And what's been the most expensive lesson so far?
So the most expensive lesson, I was thinking about this on the way here, was for myself and for the business. We did we did cocktails on tap.
Yeah.
So we did the cocktails on tap like 5 years ago, 6 years ago maybe, where kegs of cocktails tasted delicious. The idea was that it would replace a beer tap, and ironically it's kind of coming now, and some brands have done phenomenally well at canned cocktails, obviously like Moth and the like, but it cost us a lot of money to do it. We were too soon. And then at Notting Hill Carnival one year, we made them 4.5% ABV, and we didn't get through them all. So these kegs we had in storage, and cut a long story short, they double fermented. And then when we went to the storage, we thought the roof of the storage had fallen down. So we were like slightly annoyed at the storage producer. And we go in, and I pick up one of the kegs, and no word of a lie, it explodes to the extent that the bomb squad come, and they kind of got these like hard plastic bits on the top, and it goes like this, and my wrist breaks. I have to go to hospital. My business partner Jack sees me holding my heart because the top of the thing has gone. We'll try and get the video of it. Can we do the video? Overlay the video?
Yeah. Watch here.
Yeah. And it twists. I break my arm, and long story short, that was the end of our kegged cocktail experience.
Oh my god!
But I don't know how much it cost. It was a great thing to do. Youngs were very supportive of it. We put it into their pubs, but I think, as Ronald Cohen, a big private equity guy, said, it's about the second bounce. So the first bounce was a big thing. Everyone was like, cocktails on tap. And then I think we're experiencing the second bounce now, which is companies like Moth and Pimente doing amazing things, and RTDs being ready to drink. I don't think people were RTD then, and my broken arm definitely wasn't. I'll see if I can get my broken arm, whatever it's called, picture.
We'll input.
Yeah.
Speaking around like retail versus the on-trade, what was your focus initially for the business? Was it to launch on the on-trade, or was it more to like let's smash out retail? Yeah,
it was kind of I think that's probably the biggest consistency among all brands in our space, and Luke, I know, was talking about on-trade and off-trade as well. I think if it works in one, it should work in both, and I think in my head I always saw the gap in bars rather than in supermarkets, but obviously if the gap was in a bar in terms of there being a fun contemporary rum brand, it would be in the off-trade as well. So I think we've been very fortunate to have, I think the joy of rum as well is it's such a big category. It's as big an opportunity in the on-trade as off-trade. There are some of those brands where it's more on-trade, and Luke was saying it's more off-trade in non-alc beer. For us, it's kind of like either. And we've been so lucky, particularly with support of the mighty John Vine, who I bet a lot of your podcastees or whatever listeners, no, podcast people.
Oh, founders,
yeah, will in this drink space will know. He's been very supportive for us, but yeah, it's kind of, as you'll know, it's getting that yes, where the yes unlocks 259 Waitroses is an amazingly exciting thing. But as you also know, it just unlocks a whole extra level of work, which is great. But it is just, it then needs a lot more time, love, attention, support to grow it.
You need a farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A farmer.
Yeah, so at Coconut we have, what we think about it as like hunters and farmers.
Oh, nice.
So we have like the hunters who are like the new biz go-getters, and then we have the farmers who like to like really farm an account. I'm a hunter.
Yeah, no, I thought you would be a hunter. That is a good way of looking at it. Yeah, we've got a great distributor as well, Proof Drinks, who do hunting and farming. Hunter farmers.
Yeah,
not so much hunter gatherers.
I mean, obviously, I have to farm like my big customers who I love, like farming as such. But there's so much hunting within an account as well, so I kind of look at it like that. But yeah, it's obviously super exciting to be like, right, completely new customer on board, X amount of volume starting next week. Like they're the fun ones, as well.
Well, that's when you hand it over to the farmer.
Potentially, yeah. I'll say, right, who wants within like the right team? Who wants this account?
Nice,
but. Yeah, there's obviously so many different aspects.
Were you born a farmer, or what, did you become one? Oh, I was
born a hunter.
Hunter, sorry.
Yeah.
Born a hunter.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%. I am like, if hunter like in the thesaurus or encyclopedia or by what's that word? But oh my god, where do all the words go? What's that book called?
Encyclopedia, the Bible.
No. Dictionary.
If
the word hunter is there, it's Zoe Fox.
Oh, okay, nice.
That's how I define it. Like it is me.
You are the hunter.
I find it great fun.
Yeah.
And it excites me. Like it's what gets me up in the morning. I'm like, right, where am I hunting today? Like I love that feeling.
What was your last biggest kill?
A big account in the UAE.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a really nice. Hopefully, should be like.
Well, you can blame it on the farmer if it's not. It's the farmer's fault.
Farmer's fault.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really nice one. So yeah, happy about that. And what keeps you motivated when progress feels low? Slow, sorry, not low.
Or slow, or low.
Slow or low.
Not knowing low. What keeps me motivated? I think it's what could be happening. I think there's Robert Kennedy once said, "Do not look at the things you've done in life and ask why. Look at the things you haven't done and ask why not." And that's definitely my approach. It's like, okay,
scary question, that, isn't it? Because it always makes you feel like, what haven't you done and where have you failed a little bit?
Yeah,
it's hard to sit in that.
Well, yeah, I think kind of the glass half full. Why not? Let's go for it. What's the worst that can happen? I think that. To what we kind of discussed a little bit earlier about if it, for brands that it feels like it's not working, as long as there are those fires that are burning in a good way, and opportunities, I think if you've exhausted it all, then I can imagine being in that position, and then I can imagine it being a very hard conversation to have. But we've never been in that position where there haven't been opportunities that haven't been done. But equally, I would say don't do it rather than just do it. I think brands, and I've learned this, I wouldn't say the hard way, but I've learned this through experience, is brands are built from what they say no to rather than to what they say yes to. And I think, as I said earlier, life is on this spectrum of kind of finding the right balance, but yeah, saying no is just as important as saying yes at times, and that is hard for me.
It's really hard for me as well. I struggle with that. Yeah, I struggle to stop, so saying no, it's like, and also some of the best times I've had is because I've said yes. So I always sometimes think, oh, well, what if that night I meet someone that could like change my life from a professional point of view, a personal point of view. Like I always think, what if? But also I know that like rest is just as productive as like not resting. So like that's also like, I find that really difficult, like really hard. And if the Duppy Share failed tomorrow, what would you personally firstly be like really happy with, and what would you do next?
Good question. I think everything happens for a reason, and I really have faith in that. So if it stopped tomorrow, I think I'd have faith that it was the right, for whatever reason, it was right to come to an end. I'd look at the things that we've achieved, and I think that the number of things that we've achieved in growing the brand, I think I would struggle to see it like this, but I'd be incredibly proud of them, I think, once the dust had settled. And I think that what I'd do next, God only knows, probably rest for a little bit. But I think
Barbados.
Yeah, maybe. No, I think what I would do if I'd have to look at it and see the wood for the trees and look at all of the amazing things that we've achieved. I think launching a white rum with Kano is one of my proudest achievements or moments or journeys that I've been on in a work capacity or otherwise. I think, the highs and lows that I've been on with Jack, I think, are just unforgettable. But yeah, I think it's a question that I have genuinely, I'm not just saying this, never been more confident. It's a good question, but it's thankfully not a relevant one, because I really feel like now more than ever we're really on the right path, and it's going to be an amazing year.
Well, what excites you most about the future for Duppy Share?
I think we're growing well globally. We're in 33 countries now. I'm really excited by this Duppy House on trade offering. We've had some very exciting new people join the brand in terms of investment, and Duppy White, the rum that we have with Kano, continues to grow very quickly. I think we're really laser focused now in terms of our on-trade strategy, which is daiquiris at dawn, dusk, and every moment in between. And yeah, it just feels, I'm sure you've had it, it just feels like all of the ducks are in a row, and we're motoring. And I think, it's, everyone will say to you that the hospitality is struggling and that alcohol sales are down, and I see it totally the other way around. I see now is the time to lean in. I think, as I said, that thing about alcohol sales, they're not as down as everyone will have you believe. People are meeting up. The London is full in terms of commercial real estate. I was told recently, now is the time to really lean in, and I feel like we are in a wonderful position to really hammer home our advantage. I read somewhere in a deck we did recently that of 100 bottles of independent rum in the UK, we sell 44. So it's,
wow.
Yeah, we're very proud of what we've achieved, and it's kind of now time to really pedal to the metal.
And before we get on to the quickfire, in 20 years, how do you want people to talk about the brand?
Good question. Do we still want to be a challenger then? Maybe some clever guy will come up with a line about bats belonging in cave, pirates in storybooks, and Duppies in somewhere, because we'll be the third monster.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Manifest it.
I think it will.
It's en route.
Kyra will be 22 and a half, my daughter, by then. So she might have raise a glass to
she will be then.
Duppy's success.
Absolutely. What does my dad always say? Born free, but now are expensive, so...
Born free.
Now are expensive. Now I'm expensive.
Oh shit! Born free, but that's a good line.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just swore.
That's all right.
It's a good line.
Yeah.
Okay, quick fire.
Imagine
round.
having 4 daughters.
Have you got 4 daughters?
No, I don't have any.
4?
No. One of my best friends does, and I was just thinking about my dad, and I've got 1 daughter. I'm the only one. And then I was thinking,
have you got brothers?
Yes, I have a brother, very different to me. He's at Einstein, investment banker, very serious.
Wow.
Very laser focused.
Where does he work?
A private equity firm next to the Ned. So classic gilet, membership at the Ned.
Is he?
Yeah. He's like textbook, that 6 foot blue eyed Gilet Man, that
Wow.
song thing, that is Joel.
What song, Matt? Song.
You not heard that like thing? It's like
Joel is a good name.
6'5", blue eyes. I don't know the
No, it
rest.
sounds
What
good
is it?
though.
I want a man that's 6'5",
Oh
blue
wait,
eyes.
maybe I have heard that. Yeah,
I can't remember. Like they did that whole like dance in Leadenhall Market. Like
Oh, I think I have seen
that
that.
thing.
Maybe.
Trust Fund, 6'5", blue eyes. That one. Although don't think there's
6'5"
Trust
is a
Fund.
bit too tall.
Yeah, it's
I think my
ridiculous.
brother's 6'5".
Yeah.
Actually. Way too tall.
And one belief about the business. Actually,
Hang
no.
on, this isn't very quick fire.
This is not the quick fire. The last one, sorry. What would you do differently if you had to start all over again?
I would genuinely say I wouldn't change anything because I think it's been, as I said, many a year longer than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But to be in the position now, I would bite your arm off for. And I think if we change anything earlier, we might not be in this position. So I genuinely wouldn't change anything. There are some things that I can think of that I might be quite easy to take out, but I'd keep them in because, we can't change anything, can we? So
what's written in the stars is written in the stars. Quick fire round.
Yes.
One mistake you are glad you made.
I am glad about the
Breaking your arm.
cocktails on tap arm break because it makes a good story.
One thing founders focus on too late.
I think margins and generally profitability.
One thing founders overthink.
I think, speaking from personal experience, it's that the yeses have to be piling in and why haven't we done this? Why haven't we done that? Things take time and you should celebrate that.
A piece of advice you wish you had listened to earlier.
Someone said we should have launched a spiced rum sooner, and I think we probably should have.
What does success mean to you now?
Making the most of the opportunity, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, fellow hunter.
Yes, fellow hunter. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.